Our next speaker is none other than Senator Pappas.
Well, members, lots of great things have been said this afternoon, but not everyone has said them. Jeremy Miller, wherever you disappeared to, you are wrong. I was told we get 1 minute for every year we've served, so that's 42 minutes. Oh, I'm wrong. It's 1 second for every year we served, so that's only 42 seconds. Oh, I'll just tear up my speech. Thank you all so much. It was an honor to serve. Just kidding. As my granddaughter would say, I'm pranking you. Of course, you have to start out with thank yous because this place, as someone previously said before me, runs on the staff. And I've had, like everyone else has had, wonderful LAs and CAs over the years, and I'm just going to point out a few so I'll probably forget some if I try to remember everyone. I want to start out with Celeste Baines. Celeste, when I first got elected to the Senate, Celeste Baines chose me. She came to my office. She was working in some other office in the Senate and said, Senator Pappas, I want to be your LA. And she was just such a wonderful person, and I was so proud because she was a trailblazer here as being one of the first African-American staffers in a largely Irish-American Senate. Everybody who worked here was Irish. Is that still the case? I don't think so. Then I had Catherine Ryan with me for many years as my CA, then my chief of staff when I was president, and she is co-chairing my retirement party with Sherry Munyon, who's also a former staffer and a former constituent. Cara Josephson, who's still here in the Senate working for Senator Herr. She started as my intern, my LA, my CA. She left for a while. Now she's back with Senator Herr. And Rachel Carlson, who was my LA, then a CA, and now she keeps an eye on me for leadership. So I also want to thank my current LA, Jack Fisher, who got out of Dodge fast. He's on his way to Mexico. And my wonderful, relatively newer LA, Miriam Arab, who is calm and happy and a delight to work with. And her presence balances Jack and I and Liv and Damien and all the rest of us who are very Housley, all the rest of us are very hyper. I do want to thank our bonding tour team, our regulars, Jordan Rasmussen, John Jasinski, Scott Dibble, Karen Housley, of course, and Ann Johnson-Stewart, who attended every bonding tour with me this past year. Didn't miss a one. Over the years, I've worked with a lot of wonderful nonpartisan people in Senate Research and Finance. Going back to the Senator Cohen days with Nicole Kaplan and Ken Backus and Chris Turner. Alexi Stengel and Stephanie James worked with me on state and local government. Dennis Albrecht-Fessel worked with me on higher ed. Anne Marie Lewis worked with me on education. Dan Mueller, he's been here so long I can't remember what he worked with me on, but many things. And Secretary Tom Boddern, who was actually very good working with me when I chaired the Ethics Committee. In addition, I did want to mention Stephanie James again because she was a regular on our bonding tours and regaled us with many of her dog stories on the bonding bus. Our bus bonding besties were really a lot of fun. We have, of course, our front desk staff. That's the only one I think who's been here as long as me is Mike Lynn. I think I'd always remember Mike Lynn being here, and he actually trained me to be a Senate president. And the wonderful sergeants, and he's too embarrassed to even look up. He's not used to getting praised. And all of our wonderful sergeants, of course, we have Sven Lindquist and the other sergeants who very happily and nicely put up the pictures all over my walls and keep us all safe and happy. The retiring colleagues, I've served with you all for all these years, and I've learned from you and worked with you, and it's been a great pleasure. Ann Rest, Warren Limmer, Carla Nelson, Melissa Wicklund, Jim Carlson. And would you all please let me know your retirement plans, because I right now have no plans. Although I think that Ann Rest is going to become a poetry teacher. I'm convinced of that. Yes, today I learned that about you, Ann. You were very dramatic. My senior colleagues remaining that I've worked with also over the years, my seatmate and our illustrious leader, Erin Murphy, I really want to thank you for our working relationship. John Marty, who will now continue to be the longest serving legislator. It's been a pleasure to work with you. My good friend Scott Dibble. John Hoffman, who's my office mate, following Carrie Dietzick of blessed memory. Mary Kunish, who's been my ERA partner. Ron Latz on criminal justice reform. And I want to say especially Fong He, my mentee. And Fong, I am just so proud of you. You've grown into such an amazing legislator, knowledgeable, hardworking, and fair. And I know you're going to have a great future here. And I have in mind what that future is, of course. And last but not least, my bonding bestie, Karen Housley. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen's been trying to convince me to run again. Do you think I should move to Stillwater, Karen? And I do have to say how impressed I am and how proud I am of now the not-so-newbies who realized very quickly that they're here to govern, they're here to work with their colleagues to make laws, and they made a lot of them, to improve the lives of all Minnesotans. You've done a great job, and I know you'll all have a great future here. I'm getting teary-eyed now. No one has mentioned lobbyists, and I have to mention them because, and they're too numerous to mention, so I'm not going to mention them individually, don't worry, but they really serve as a second staff layer, and we rely on them to provide us their knowledge and their experience. And we rely on all the advocates that come to the Capitol and ask us to do things. Our advocates in labor, for women, for immigrants, for environmentalists. And I want to say to you, keep advocating for the issues you're passionate about. And I do want to thank my constituents in Senate District 65 who've elected and re-elected me, probably far too many times to count. Last time I was door knocking, I did have someone at the door that say, "Haven't you retired yet?" Hint, hint, hint. One brief thing is other people have talked a little bit about their family history, and I just wrote this down because these are little known facts about me, about who were my influencers in politics before the age of 13. My parents were Adlai Stevenson supporters. And so I have this memory of Adlai Stevenson literature in our house. So that idea of politics was already in my head when I was, 5, 6, 7 years old. My Aunt Elsie ran for mayor of Columbia Heights in the 1950s. She proved that women could be leaders. And then, Swazinski's gonna love this, I certainly was inspired by John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think we don't think about that enough. We're always about, what do I want from me, and not enough about what I have to give. And of course, all of you are here with us because you understand that we're really here to serve the people. So now I'm switching to something that won't make me cry. You may have noticed that I've been throwing out bits of wisdom the last couple weeks, so I'm going to end with some bits of wisdom. Advice for the future. After 42 years, it's so hard to leave that I have to leave you with advice. First of all, you need to modernize the Constitution. It's no longer the governor, he. We have done that with the statutes. We need to do that with the Constitution. Look who's running for governor. More transparency, more transparency, more transparency. It requires leaders to give us early targets, to coordinate with the other bodies so there is time to pass omnibus and other significant bills and have open conference committees. We really need to get back to that system. Actually, I will say, in the old days, I actually served on a bonding conference committee. And I'm as guilty as anyone else that it's so hard to have open conference committees. You're not going to like this, some of you, and some of you are going to love this. a full-time legislature. Like other states our size, like Wisconsin, governing has gotten too complex. We aren't able to provide the oversight we should, even if there were long breaks and shorter sessions. I think of the Pension Commission, who at one point, Senator Friends, would meet every month for 1 or 2 days during the odd year, especially to review proposals, hear from our auditors, et cetera, kind of keep the brain moving around pensions. And then, of course, we need yearly bonding bills, with a larger bill during the traditional bonding year, the even year, and an asset preservation focused on the bill during the odd year, much like we did this year and last. And I'm very, very proud of that. We need to get into that system because we have such a huge backlog of deferred maintenance of state-owned property. It's in the billions. And, you know, we take care of our homes. This is our home. We should be taking care of things that we own in the state. And finally, my good friend Warren Limmer, civility. The Senate has a proud history with strong traditions. Some we've modernized, like allowing water and sleeping babies, and some important to keep. I agree, proper dress, speaking to the president, addressing each other more formally and respectfully. And really, there is a problem with mics on that right side of the room that makes it sound like everyone is shouting. You guys have to realize that. Finally, this is such a beautiful building. We spent so much money on it. Please take care of it. Don't let it fall into disrepair like we did in the past. And please take care of our democracy. And I just want to say that I love you all, and I'll miss you all. Thank you.
All right, members,